Now this is inserting a new table. This is going to be your new best friend for creating web pages.
Okay.
It is actually, I hate to say it, but a lot of coders hate them and think they're archaic and they don't work very well. I personally am a big fan because it's a really easy way to lay out your web page. So what happens is you think of it kind of like an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
Right, so you've got tables and cells in Excel, and you can make them bigger and smaller as you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can insert text in certain places, and even in Excel you can insert images. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to create a table that has a certain number of cells and columns and rows, and you can change the sizes.
Okay.
So I'm going to teach you how to do this, because these are going to be your, like I said, new best friend for the next couple of weeks while you're figuring this out.
Okay.
So now it asks you how many columns and how many rows do you want. We can leave it 2 and 2 right now just for playing around purposes.
Okay.
Now cell padding, this, if you picture a cell in Excel, there you got your cell, and basically padding is the distance from the walls that's going to force all the text, right? So if you insert a picture into it and your cell padding is 1, it's going to put a gap of 1 around that picture in your cell.
Okay.
Cell spacing is the gap between cell walls. So you think of 2 cells, this gap that's between them is that cell spacing.
Okay.
Personally, like say if you're making a table of data and you want to make sure data doesn't run into the next cell, then you'll want to make sure you put some spacing there. For layout purposes, I leave them 0.
Okay.
And border, you can put borders around all the cells so you can see them. If you don't, then there'll be dashed lines in the page editor and people won't see them on your website.
Okay.
So let's leave 0 for now. Alignment, go ahead and hit that drop down box. That just decides if the table is going to be center justified, left, or right.
Do you recommend?
Let's do center for right now.
Okay.
I visually like centered things, but
Yeah.
what'll happen is it'll center itself on your page. Instead of being on the left of the white or the right of the white, it'll be centered.
Okay.
So if we make it too small, then we'll see it.
Okay.
And width, let's give it a width of like 300, just to start out with.
And this is the whole table?
Yeah, so the whole
size
table.
Of the whole table, okay.
Yep, and then height, yeah, you can put like 200 or something.
Okay.
And class, this has to do with the styles, because you can create classes and styles that all work together. And go ahead and hit that drop down next to it. There's nothing in there, right?
Okay.
Because we haven't created any yet, right?
Okay.
And then you can table caption. That puts a box on the top of the table. Like say if you had a table
so
of
you can
data,
name
like
it?
this is my price list. So you put price list in the caption.
Right.
It's not actually in the table, but it's attached to it.
Okay.
Right. And one more feature is advanced. You missed it. You clicked right above it. There you go. And you can get all kinds of advanced stuff in here, like the style, which is similar to the image style that we were looking at a few minutes ago. You could put a background image in it if you knew the address to what your background image is.
Okay.
Now there's all kinds of advanced stuff. Most people aren't going to worry about it except for background color and border color. You can give the borders a color or the background a color. In your case, the page editor background is white. The page that your stuff's going to show up on is white.
Mm-hmm.
So it's consistent.
Okay.
But if for some reason we change the background of your web page to be black or blue, then you could change the background of your table to be black or blue so you could see what it looks like in your page editor.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Right now we won't worry about it. So let's go ahead and just hit insert. So now here we have our 200 tall, 300 wide, 2 by 2. You can see the dashed lines.
Okay.
You can go and click inside one of those cells and type something, anything you want.
Okay, what's it doing?
So now what happens is because we didn't specify the width of every cell, it'll scale it and it'll say there's a whole bunch of stuff on the left and there's nothing on the right. We don't need that much space on the right.
Okay.
So if you click in the right cells and type something in there, you'll watch it move backwards,
Oh.
right? And if you put exact same number of things in both, then it'll even out.
Okay.
Now we can specify what widths those are going to be over here on the left with the cell properties and the row properties. Let's do the cell properties first because that's what we're talking about. So now you can set the width that you want. Now you can set it to be a percent, so you could type 50%,
Okay.
or you can set it to be 50 pixels, right? If you just put a number in there, it's going to assume it's pixels.
Okay.
And the width of your web page is about 700 pixels.
Okay.
So you could say, go ahead and type like 125 in there, right? And height, you can specify it for this one cell. You can specify your alignment, like left to right alignment, or your vertical. Because right now it's centered vertically.
Right.
Let's say you wanted it
But
to show up
it's
at the top.
left.
But it's
line
left.
left, but it's center.
Yep.
That way. Okay.
So vertically, you could change it so it's aligned to the top, right?
Okay.
Scope is actually redundant of this option in the bottom left corner next to the update button. Update current cell. Scope, I just ignore that.
Okay.
Just forget it. It
Okay.
doesn't matter. But you can hit this menu down by the update button.
Okay.
And now you can update all the cells in the row, just the current cell, all the cells in the row, all the cells in the table to have the same properties.
Okay.
Let's just do the current cell. And then let's hit the advanced tab before we leave. And it has a lot of the same stuff that the table did, including background color and border color. So you may want to change the background color of one of your table cells to make it look a little bit different, to change up the flow of things, right?
Okay.
So you could do that if you wanted.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and hit update, and we'll watch it change. Now you see it went to the top, and it's actually smaller because we set the width of the whole table to be 300, and we told it this column's going to be, or this cell
It's gonna be 125.
is going to be 125. Now every cell in the same column has to line up, so they're all going to justify to that same size.
Okay.
Well, so the other one took over and compensated for it, right? All right, so now let's go ahead and hit our row properties, that button to the left where we were a minute ago. Now, go ahead and hit this down arrow next to the table body menu. So table head, table body, table foot. There, you can format your table to have like header rows and footer rows and main body.
Okay.
I suggest just keeping it body and formatting everything applicably.
Okay.
If you know HTML code, you know the differences, but essentially the header and the footer, I believe, bold your text and justify centered by default, while all the rest will justify left and not bold.
Okay. So just keep it.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you can change your left to right alignment, you can change your vertical alignment, your class again, and this one you can only determine the height because you're dealing with the whole row.
Right.
And so you can set it to be, and this one, do 125 again. It's going to be bigger than our 200 vertical that we set up. And then see this update current row menu? Go ahead and drop that down. You can do the current row, you can do odd rows, you can do even rows, you can do all the rows.
Okay.
So we'll just do a current row. And it had the same advanced options as the table cells. So now if you notice, this one is bigger because you said 125 of 200.
Right.